Hey everyone, welcome back to bageltcg. Today we're going to be starting a 3-part mini-series here on the channel as we review a recent Uprising draft that my team Galaxxi Gaming did. Each video will be a different pack, so it'll be a 3-part series starting with the first pack here. I want to shout out my team Galaxxi Gaming. We're a Jacksonville-based competitive Flesh and Blood team, and we are sponsored by the best LGS here in Jacksonville, Java Gamehouse. So go check out Java Gamehouse and check out Galaxxi Gaming. We love the support and I appreciate you guys watching. But let's hop right into the draft here, starting with the first pack. So I'm gonna just kind of go through the packs. I'm gonna pause a lot as we go through. But first we've got Arctic Incarceration Blue. That's a good Icelander blue to start. Scar for a Scar blue, Sigil Protection blue, not gonna be first picks for us. But then we see Sash of Sandakai, right? So this is a common chest piece. At instant speed, you can destroy it to gain a resource and only activate that if you played a red card that turn, and it's for Draconic heroes only, right? So this is probably the best common equipment in the set. It gives us a free resource, which is really valuable, and it's usable by 2 of the 3 heroes, which is great. You just starting with Draconic cards is a totally fine place to start because of the fact that it still keeps us open to 2 of the 3 heroes and doesn't kind of pigeonhole us into 1 hero right away. So as of right now, blue Arctic Incarceration would have been a nice start for an Icelander card, but Sash of Sandakai looks pretty good. Then we've got Rise Up here. Rise Up and Invoke Asvoli. So even though Rise Up is playable in Dromai and Fi, it cares about Phoenix Flames, so it's mostly a Fi card. And then obviously Asvoli is mostly a Dromai card. Both really good rares, but I don't think we want to commit to 1 hero yet, so we're still looking at Sash of Sandakai. Then we've got Blue Strategic Planning, a nice sideboard card against Fi, but not first pick. Red Read the Ripples, probably not picking anyways for any point in the pack. And then Blue Ice Bolt is probably the best Icelander card in the pack now. And then we've got some just blues and yellows that we don't really want from the other classes. So the rares are both pretty good with Invoke Asvoli and Rise Up. There's 2 nice Icelander blues with an Arctic Incarceration and Ice Bolt. But I think Sash of Sandakai is great. It's the best common equipment in the set, at least one of them, and it keeps us open to 2 heroes still. So I like for the first pick to try and stay pretty open, and picking Sash of Sandakai here will end up with us being pretty open. So I kind of just show that. We're going to pick that card, move on to the next pack here. Let's see when we get to the next pack. Perfect. Okay, so next pack starts with Blue Read the Ripples, a yellow card, and then Silken Form, which is a pretty nice common equipment as well, but it would put us kind of right into Jermai here on pack 2. Not super excited about going into a hero right away at pack 2. Blue Sigil, some really nice reds with Soaring Strike and Embermaw Senpai, a Majestic in Semblance, but not a very good Majestic for draft. And then 2 really good reds there with Blaze Headlong and Rising Resentment. All of the cards in this pack basically stick us right into a hero. They're all really good reds. We've got great reds with Soaring Strike, Rising Resentment. Rising Resentment probably the best actual card in the pack for just a really nice Fi deck. But Blaze Headlong is just a Draconic. So I kind of like the fact that, well, for one, it's a 0 for 4 go again, which is a really good rate. But also it is playable in both Jermai and Fi, so I kind of like the idea of staying open here. So we're going to pick Blaze Headlong here. If you see me looking through the pack, it's because I'm probably trying to practice counting the number of commons of each class. So there is in this set 2 commons of each class, excuse me, 2 commons of each class, and then 1 extra, right? So there's going to be 2, 2, and 3. If there is less than 2 of any class, that means that class is getting picked the highest, right? So if there's only 1 common wizard card and then there's 2 ninja and 3 illusionist, that means wizard has already had a card picked guaranteed. So that's what I'm counting through. I know this is only pick 2. I think I'm just practice counting that. But we're going to pick Blaze Headlong here. We're just going to skip along. Okay, let's see. We picked our second card, which is going to be Blaze Headlong. And we're going to move on to pack 3 here. So right off the bat, Red Skittering Sands is a premium Jermai card. It's kind of a 0 for 4, so it makes us a 1/1 using an Ash, one of our Aether Ash Wings, and then it gives it +3. So we'll attack for 4 at least with this card. And because it's a red 0 cost with Go Again, it'll go all of our dragons Go Again. Blue Sigil, Red Hot, great Draconic card. It's a nice payoff there. Quelling Robe, pretty good common chess piece, but we don't need it because we already have a better common chess piece. And then some nice reds. We've got Flameborn Retribution you just saw. It is a Draconic 1 for 3 with Go Again that can sometimes have a payoff when it blocks. So looking at this pack, keeping the things that would keep us the most open is the Red Hot or the Flameborn Retribution. And then I think maybe the strongest card is probably the red Skittering Sands if we want to jump right into Dramai. I think I'm once again counting the class cards here, just to practice doing that. This was our first Uprising draft here. But I think I'm going to end up picking Flameborn Retribution. I don't know if that's 100% correct. I think it's between Flameborn and Red Hot. Red Hot's a nice payoff, but Flameborn does turn on Go Again for dragons and turns on a Draconic card being played for Searing Emberblade. So I think the floor is a lot higher on Flameborn Retribution. It'll always be pretty solid. Meanwhile, Red Hot does require you to work for it a little, and it costs 2. So I think I'm going to end up going with Flameborn Retribution. Higher floor, maybe lower ceiling overall, right? So I think we're going to pick Flameborn Retribution here in a second. You can tell it was not an easy choice for me between these two. I wanted to pick a Draconic card to stay open still. We went with Flameborn Retribution. I think I would probably make that choice again, but I don't know if it's correct. So, boom, Red Rake the Embers we just saw. I think that's probably Dramai's best common. It makes 3 1/1s, which is kind of hard for opponents to deal with. It gives you Arcane Barrier 3 because they all have Arcane Barrier, so it's good into Icelander. The 1/1s are great into the other 2 heroes as well. It's just a really good card. And then we also see Red Dunebreaker Senpai, and Red Rising Resentment, and Silent Stilettos. So this pack is loaded with a lot of really powerful red Draconic cards still. I'm thinking that, I know we're pretty early still. I think this is pack 4. But I'm thinking probably some Icelanders to my right that are passing to me with all of these powerful, Rising Resentment's a great red. And then we've got Rake the Embers and Dunebreaker Senpai red in the pack, plus Silent Stilettos. So when I see all 3 of those really good Dramai cards in a pack, I see Red Rake the Embers, I see Red Dunebreaker Senpai, I see Silent Stilettos. Silent Stilettos is amazing because having Arcane Barrier in this format's great. So I'm thinking this is my 4th pack, so there's been 3 picks before it. I'm thinking that there is definitely not more than 1 Dramai to my right. Like, a Dramai would have taken one of those cards. The odds there was a better Dramai pick in those out of this pack over those 3 is pretty low. So I'm kind of guessing or trying to read that there isn't any Dramais to the 3 people to my right, which means that Dramai should be pretty open here. Fi looks like he could be decently open as well with the Red Rising Resentment. There's no blue ice cards left, I don't think. And there's nothing else that's really pulling me. So I think I'm going to pick this Silent Stilettos here and just jump right into Dramai. You can see there's, I could even table one of those Dunebreakers or Rake the Embers, that Red Rake the Embers I just dropped. I could even, table that, which means it'll come back around since there's enough cards in the pack to come around to me. And that would just be amazing if I got Red Rake the Embers or Dunebreaker. Then we see another great red Dramai card here with Skittering Sands. I see Ice Eternal, which is a pretty good Majestic for Icelander, so I'm thinking maybe I was wrong about the Icelander read. But there's not any amazing Fi cards in this pack, I don't think. Some random blues. This pack actually has almost no Fi cards in it that are really great, and Flame is kind of just okay. But it has, I think I count the number of common Draconic cards, and I have 3 in here, which means that there's no Draconic cards picked. Which means, Dramai cards. There was 3 common Illusionist cards, which means there have been no common Illusionist cards picked. So I'm going to pick Red Skittering Sands here. I'm pretty much in Dramai at this point. I started with 3 Draconic cards and then picked 2 Illusionist cards. off to a pretty good Jermai deck so far. Pack 5 here, pack 6 here, I mean. This pack looks pretty weak. I don't think there's a red card in this pack, except Cold Snap, which doesn't really matter because Icelander doesn't care about reds. So we're just trying to figure out what the next best pick is. This pack doesn't really make... I don't really read anything out of this pack because there's no like great cards in here for anyone really. So I'm just going to think it's a weak pack or all the good stuff's already been taken. Yellow Transmogrify, it could be a pick. Yellow Sweeping Blow, blue Skittering Sands. I mean, you do want some blues, some resources in your Jermai deck. So I kind of like Sweeping Blow just because it makes an Ashen blocks for 3. Skittering Sands is fine too. Even Healing Balm and Critical Strike both block for 3. I think I was also counting these cards a little bit, which is why I'm moving them around so much. I think I pick either the Skittering Sands or the Sweeping Blow here. In the end, maybe I pick this Transmogrify. I think if I pick this Transmogrify, I don't think I ever played it. I don't think I ever drew it in any of my games. So I don't remember if I pick it or not. I think it's not the right pick. Yeah, I don't think that was the right pick. I think I should have... That card's kind of a trap. I think I should have just picked Yellow Sweeping Blow or Blue Skittering Sands. So that's the first pick I'm like not in love with. We've got Red Rake the Embers here though, which like I said is probably my favorite common for Jermai. And means Jermai is still pretty open. I think we're on pick 6 or 7 here. So almost everyone at the table has gotten to take out of this pack. And I think the only red card left is this Rake the Embers. And all of the Draconic people at the table are taking red cards, right? So the fact that this only red card left is Rake the Embers is pretty telling. I'm looking at the rest of the pack. There's not really any great Icelander cards either. So I don't think there's like almost any Jermais in the right like 5 or 6 people. So then I open this pack. You can see I stopped because I see Spellfray Cloak, which is the best common equipment piece for Wizard. It's the same thing as a free resource, but on your opponent's turn. So then I kind of take a step back and I'm like, okay, so I thought there was at least 1 or 2 Icelanders in the 4 or 5 people to the right of me, and now I see Spellfray Cloak. And that kind of messes with my head a little bit. I'm thinking maybe there's not an Icelander to the 3 or 4 people to the right of me. I couldn't really figure out what's going on. Like maybe I was reading wrong if that Spellfray Cloak is on the pack. But there is a red Sweeping Blow. So I'm still pretty happy with the fact that there's no Jermais. Now I'm pretty much reading that there's like 3 Phis to the right of me. Like a lot of Phis to the right of me. I don't think there's any cards a Phi could pick in here outside of commons. I think just Sigil. Yeah, there's a single card a Phi deck could run, and it's that generic Sigil Protection Blue. So I definitely think there's a ton of Phis to my right. If there's a red Sweeping Blow, I'm still pretty happy with the fact that there's no Jermais, but there might be a Jermai to my right now with that Spellfray Cloak still in there. This pack is pretty weak, but we're getting later in the packs. It's not really got any cards that any deck wants. And maybe the card that is most valuable here is maybe blue Sigil Protection for a Icelander deck. But it still has blue Sweeping Blow, which is a blue 3 block. And you can't really go wrong with a blue 3 block in Limited, so I think I'm just going to end up picking a blue 3 block here. Keep it going. I'm not super surprised to not see any red cards. Notably, there is still 2 common Jermai cards, right? We saw the blue Skittering and the blue Sweeping Blow, which means that unless there was a 3rd common Illusionist card, there was no common Illusionist cards picked in that pack yet, and we're pretty late in the packs. This pack has 1, 2, 3, 5 cards, so this is pick... what is there, 14 cards in a pack, so there's been 9 picked. So I think this is pick 10. I'm looking at, so Semblance is pretty bad, even though it's majestic, it doesn't block, and it's a little expensive, and there's not that many Phantasm Pops. So I think I'm just looking at Yellow Dunebreaker Centipede here. It's still a 1 for 4. It's unfortunate that it's not a blue or a red, but a 1 for 4 with Go Again is totally fine. Oh, and then the camera gets wrecked. So we're going to get that fixed in a second. The camera was set up a little precariously, but I think we're going to go with Yellow Dunebreaker Centipede. Shout out to the multiple people who ran into the camera. All right, and we see this is 4 cards left in the pack, so there's been 10 cards picked, so this makes it the 11th pick, right? If I'm counting correctly, I believe there's 16 cards in the pack and 2 are tokens. So 14 total cards to be picked. 4 cards left here. Literally just 2 generics and an illusionist card. 3 generics because of Quelling Cloak. I don't think the Quelling Robe should have been in there still. I'm pretty sure someone of my fellow drafters should have picked that because equipment is almost definitely better than anything else. I think I picked Blue Sigil of Protection just because there's nothing else I really want there. Next pack. Oh, and there's the payoff, right? I think I said earlier in the pack that had Silent Stilettos, Red Rake the Embers, and Red Dunebreaker Senpai, that's 3 of the best illusionist cards for Dramai. I picked Silent Stilettos, and there's a decent chance that if there's only one Dramai at the table other than me, they're probably going to pick either Red Dunebreaker Senpai or Red Rake the Embers. It looks like they picked Red Dunebreaker Senpai, so this tells me that there's probably only one other Dramai. If there was 2 other Dramais, neither of these cards would have made it back to me. So not only do I get paid off with a 12th pick, I think? 12th, 13th, 14th, 12th pick Red Rake the Embers, which is just an absurdly late Rake the Embers. It also tells me that there's only one other Dramai at the table, at least, right? So probably not 2 other Dramais. I get a yellow dust up there, which is pretty crazy to get a totally fine card for your deck, second to last pick. And then I get yellow Healing Balm. So pretty nice picks so far. Let's kind of review what we've got going on. So first pack, we pick, first pack we go through, and we are picking Sash of Sandakai, right? So Sash of Sandakai, just the Draconic card, keeps us pretty open in Draconic, and it's a great, starting with equipment is always nice. Let's see, second pack, we pick Sash. Second pack, we come in here, and we see Blaze Headlong. Blaze Headlong, really nice, 0 for 4 go again's a great rate. Keeps us in Draconic. I decided to stay open instead of picking Red Rising Resentment, which is probably my other pick. So instead of committing to Fi, I stay open in Draconic. Next pack. So we've got Sash of Sandakai and Blaze Headlong so far. We pick that. Next pack, we're looking through, and we see Red Hot and Flameborn Retribution. Both pretty good Draconic cards here. One's a nice payoff, one's a nice beginning of turn play, I guess you would call it. I don't know what the word for that is. I think I end up picking still a Draconic card, still wanting to stay open. And then the fourth pack is where I make my kind of read and my move to go in, right? I see 3 really good Dramai cards, 3 incredible Dramai cards. The fact that all 3 are still in the pack tells me that there's no Dramai to the right of me at all in the last 3 people, right? So one of those cards at least should not be in the pack. There should have been at least one of those cards picked if there was a Dramai to the right of me at all in the 3 spots. So I'm thinking there's no Dramai to the right of me at all. I can hop into Dramai here. I have a good chance of tabling one of these cards back to me, this Red Rake the Embers or this Red Dunebreaker Senpai. And so I pick the Silent Stilettos. I drop the Red Rake the Embers. Then we move on to the next pack. This pack, I'm choosing to go into Dramai at this point. I get a little confused by Ice Eternal still being in here, but I pick up this Red Skittering Sands. Let's see, next pack. Here we've got, this was the pick I probably disagree with the most from my picks in this first pack here. I picked Yellow Transmogrify. There's no real good red cards at all for any Draconic deck in here. I picked Yellow Transmogrify over Yellow Sweeping Blow. And I think Yellow Sweeping Blow would have definitely been better there, but doesn't end up impacting the deck too much. I pick Yellow Transmogrify there. Next pack, we see Red Rake the Embers. That's a pretty easy pickup. It's definitely our best red common, or at least probably our best red common. I don't want to commit 100% to that. But we see Red Rake the Embers. I'm still thinking, wow, Dramai is really open right now if I see a Red Rake the Embers right here. So that's a pretty easy pickup. Then I see Spellfray Cloak, get kind of confused, but see Red Sweeping Blow. Still really happy to pick up another red card for our Dramai deck. So we'll pick that one up. Next pack, nothing great for us, but also nothing great for anyone. But we just pick up Blue Sweeping Blow as a blue 3 block. We're definitely in Dramai at this point, and I'm pretty comfortable being in Dramai here. Next pack, nothing for anyone really. Once again, maybe an Icelander deck would want that Blue Sigil of Permafrost. But we're just going to pick yellow Dunebreaker Centipede as a nice 1-for-4 that blocks 3. One of our last packs here, mostly just generics left, and then a sand covered blue that is a pretty bad card. I think I pick up this blue sigil protection just to get some blues. My deck does want some blues in it. Then we've got, I think the pack that tells me I'm in the right hero when I see Rake the Ember, 12th pick. So I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely in the right hero here. 12th pick, Rake the Embers. 13th pick, Yellow Dust Up. Totally fine pickup. And then last pick, Yellow Healing Balm. So let me know what you guys think. If I was in the right hero, if you would have made any picks different. We'll have 2 more videos coming out for Pack 2 and Pack 3 of this draft. I think the only card I disagree with myself on here is that Yellow Transmogrify pickup. We played this draft out after. I don't think I ever resolved that Yellow Transmogrify. I think that 100% should have been Yellow Sweeping Blow. But I think that's the only pick I disagree on. I think the most contentious one other than that is probably Red Hot versus Flameborn Retribution. But yeah, pretty happy so far. Remember to check out Java Gamehouse, who is our sponsor. Check out Galaxxi Gaming, which is my team. And then check out all my normal affiliates of Whipped and Wizard, my Patreon, stuff like that. Let me know what other content you guys want. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.